and welcome to the Synchronicity Show. It is your host, Kevin Wathey, and today I sit down with someone who I've been looking forward to connect with for quite some time now, and my guest today is none other than Forbes Riley. Forbes is one of the most celebrated TV hosts of all time. As the queen of the pitch, Forbes grossed over $2.5 billion in product sales and is currently on a mission to inspire and motivate entrepreneurs to level up their communication skills, both to themselves and to the outside world. Forbes, this has been a long time in the making. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Oh, I'm wonderful. I'm finally home here in Tampa, Florida, but we met all the way in Costa Rica. That was a very blessed morning.
That was a fantastic morning filled with mango and papaya and coffee, and Forbes pitching me with my morning coffee.
Yeah, hey, come on. You want to try my fitness product?
Yeah.
Not what you would expect when you meet me. But it's funny. It's what I do. It's what I love to enroll people that I think are worth enrolling. And you are it.
Well, I appreciate that immensely. And right before we hopped on today, you said something interesting that I want to go back to real quick and reflect back on. And that was your old bio talking about you coming from Long Island. My family is from Long Island. My dad's from Syosset. My cousins still live in Huntington. And my grandfather was the principal out on a high school in Long Island years and years ago.
Which one? Which high school?
Oh, I believe it was St. Andrews, one of the two.
All right, I'm a little oceanside girl. I ended up being Miss Teenage New York in the Miss Teenage America pageant from Long Island.
Okay, there we go. I want to, and the reason I bring this up is because I want to take a step back and now reflecting back on your life, what did you initially want to be when you grew up?
Actually, that's an interesting conversation. So I love when people look at me now and go, wow, you look kind of cute. And I'm like, you're right. When I was a kid, though, I grew up and I was really ugly. I had some unfortunate things happen. When I was 8 years old, I broke my nose and it really kind of grew awkward off the side of my face. In fact, I'm going to share a photo with you because what's interesting is the transformation, I think, has been so dramatic that when I say it, people are like, oh, you're just saying that. Yeah, no, I'm not saying that. I look at you and think that you probably were kind of cute your whole life, which leads to a certain thing, but I was really ugly. And so I look at, not that picture, but this picture. This would be my dad holding me up. And I'll tell you what, if you've got two loving parents in life, I think you win, right? So at 8 years old, I broke my nose, but see how weird my teeth are? I didn't understand that I had a jaw thing. They put me in braces for 8 years, Kevin, from the time I was a little 8-year-old girl to 16. And then for 2 years, they partitioned my mouth and I couldn't talk at all. And so between the broken nose, the frizzy hair, the ugly, whatever, and being overweight, I wasn't very attractive. And I knew it. In my head, I thought I was something special, but no one was interested. I literally had very few friends and a very lonely existence growing up. And my dad, who was a printer by trade, one day he slipped and he got his hand caught in those printing presses. And he spent 3 years in the hospital. He had 15 operations. My mom says to me, kiddo, I know that you're at the top of your class. We have no money for scholarship for college. We have nothing. And my dad's doctor overheard this. And Kevin, it's the first time that the concept of dream it and believe it came to fruition. It's like, all right, my mom and I kind of looked at each other like, yeah, you don't look anything like Marsha Brady and a beauty contest. And my dad's doctor actually said, I'm going to fix her nose. Well, that's like a very expensive operation. He said, no, you guys deserve to win. And all I know is within a week, something happened. And I know you can see it on the screen, but I got kind of cute. Like the eyes opened up and the teeth looked better. And who knew that like literally a nose would be the cornerstone for my self-esteem? I entered the pageant and that's me in the Sunrise Mall. And I won in a hand-me-down dress because I had a huge why. I needed to save my family. And I went on to the nationals and there I am with Miss Teenage America with Bob Hope, still kind of chunky, but a great smile on my face. And I did get to college, and there's my mom at 260 pounds her whole life, which is why I'm so passionate about health and fitness. She died at 70 between smoking and diabetes and not getting educated. And Forbes Riley, the creature that you see over there, is somebody that I wanted to be. I used to watch a lot of movies and TV and think, I just want a glamorous life. And I wanted to be James Bond. That was my big dream. I wanted to have a life of adventure. I wanted to ski in cool places. I want to go to Monaco and gamble at those tables. And I've done almost all the things I thought of, including a little espionage, which is crazy, a little bit of undercover work, because it really turned me on. I didn't want to be a James Bond girl. I want to be Bond himself. And it has been a magnificent life because that's what I wanted. You know?
Talk to me about the dream it and become it, or dream it and believe it, because a lot of people will say, oh, you got to fake it until you make it. But you, in essence, were more practicing until you became it. And everything that you did brought you into where you wanted to become.
Oh, you are pulling on my strings here. Okay, so dream it, believe it, and achieve it is a motto I have everywhere in my life. However, I am a fake it till you make it girl. Although I like to say, build the illusion to achieve the dream. Because here's what I discovered as a scrappy little kid who is not related to anybody and had a big dream. You've got to figure out how to connect the dots. And so while Dream It, Believe It is back there, I'm an actress in New York at some point, and I starred in my first feature film. I'm working on Broadway. I'm fighting my weight because my thighs were bigger than everybody else's, whatever the bullshit that I dealt with was. So there's always this, I'm great. I have no self-esteem, lots of rejection, self-hatred. What a very confusing thing to be in my head. And I couldn't find an agent at the level I wanted to that wasn't chasing me around a desk. This is a little bit before Me Too. I was not letting anybody catch me. And at some point I said, screw it. You know what? I need an agent. I need someone to pitch me because they won't listen to you as an actress. I got a piece of stationery, CMA, Creative Management for Artists. And I hired a woman named Lindsay Maxwell. And Lindsay thought Forbes Riley was spectacular. Oh my God, you've got to meet this woman. So I'm Lindsay Maxwell. And I played my own manager for 2 years, booked more commercials, more TV. So I did fake it till you make it because I was dreaming and believing it. Kind of interesting full circle on that one, isn't it?
That is quite possibly, and now I know exactly where this conversation is going to go, because that is quite possibly one of the best stories that I have ever heard. You created your own, you were your agent. That is
Absolutely.
Fantastic. That is brilliant.
And my agent loved me. My agent pitched me everywhere. And I had to sneak to figure out how to get the breakdowns. Oh, I mean, I had a full-on operation. James Bond, right? Not a joke. James would figure out how to do this. It came in very handy. And I booked all kinds of things because of that. But you want an even better story that nobody really ever hears?
Please.
So the story of how I made my first $1 million. It was the actor strike in New York. And I had a friend who was a comic and a friend who was an agent for strippers. And they came up with this idea of doing a thing called Strippogram. Let's just say that together, we created this company called Strippogram. And I personally delivered 10,000 singing and stripping telegrams in public. My rules were 3: no nudity, no touching, no sex. I was the cutest stripper you've ever seen. And we stopped Wall Street for 7 minutes because I walked out on the floor and did my little thing. And I'll tell you what, you want to talk about being undercover? 10 years of my life, I lived my life like I was a spy.
No, I was waiting to see if that continued, but that's...
No, I'm pretty much going to let you take it from there.
I'll dive right on in. But the thing, and what I want to bring up is that, so you didn't necessarily have an agent or someone in your court or someone on your side that was being a proponent for you. And there are a lot of people in life who don't. But you had made up in your mind that your mindset was going to carry you through. And then your mindset is what created your agent. And then your agent is the one who was the person in your court that sold you to everyone and to everything to become the success that we now see today. So take me back for a second. Where did that mindset come from? How did you say, okay, I don't give a shit what anyone else says. This is who I'm going to create. This is who I'm going to become. And fuck everyone else who doesn't think that way.
I think I had no choice. You know, I don't know if you can relate. I don't know if anybody can relate. I'm going to start to cry. I don't know if anybody can relate to how horrible it is to be such an ugly little girl for so long and to have no friends. I mean, it was really, really awkward because for 2 years I talked like this. Nobody wanted to talk to me. And I was such an outcast. I'm very smart, like weirdly smart. Like I graduated high school a year early. I graduated college with 2 degrees in 3 years. I've never had my IQ tested because I didn't want to either prove I really was that smart or maybe I'm not and I pretended to be, who knows. But I can figure out anything. And in fact, in school, it was a really bad trait because if we got a project and team, you and I were on a team with a couple of people, I would simply say to you guys, look, go play, go do your sports, whatever you were doing, because I didn't play any sports. I'll just get us an A. Is that okay? And I would work hard, figure it out. And I always figured things out. My dad is a magician. My dad was a magician. I do magic tricks. And the cool thing about being a magician is that you always begin with the end in mind. So for example, if you're going to cut a girl in half, I pretty much know how the trick's going to end before I start. Otherwise, you're going to write a really bad note to somebody's mom. Oops, sorry, I screwed that up. So I was always thinking, and I think Jesse Eisenberg said it in the movie about magicians called Catch Me If You, called Now You See Me, that the magician is always the smartest person in the room. Now, what that means is they've already figured out what's going to happen, and then people go through those motions. So when I've got a magic trick that I'm going to do, and I can do them anywhere, I do them, and I did a lot of them because it covered up my self-esteem issues. You would always, I'd do the magic trick and you go, oh, wow, that's amazing. And people wouldn't notice me. So I was always about the trick. And I'll tell you what, when you start thinking ahead 10 steps, you become a chess player. I pretty much know in a meeting how it's going to end. And I talk about this principle a lot as entrepreneurs. Begin with the end in mind and then just go get it. Too many times entrepreneurs just start talking, hope it's going to be a certain way. No, even when you and I connected, I got to tell you, I know how it's going to end. Very rarely does it ever not work. I know, Kevin, I walked up to you and I basically said, you want to see something cool? What did you say to me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, everybody says yes. So if you know that, you can ask that question anywhere and get a what? Get a yes. Most people ask a question, don't know what the answer is going to be. I know the answer is going to be yes. So I'm like, hey, what's something cool? Yeah. Then I actually said to you, like I did, give me your thumbs. Well, that's an embedded command. Now, don't kid yourself. I've gone back and I've done all the psychological and brain kind of dissecting about how your brain works and why this works. So I not only do it, but I also know why it works. That's what I teach other people. When I said, give me your thumbs, and everybody does. Why would you give me your thumbs? Because I told you to. It's an embedded command. It's like when you say on your YouTube video, hey, make sure you subscribe my channel. You're telling them what to do, and odds are they will do it. And it's a funny thing when you get in people's heads. How do you think I've sold $2.5 billion worth of product? It's a psychological game. I know that if I stop you in your tracks, if I ask the right question, if I get you to raise your hand, odds are you say about 5 yeses when I say, hey, it's time to buy this. You're going to go, of course I want to buy it. Wow. Most people don't do any of those things and wonder why they get rejected and hurt so much.
There's a book by Robert Cialdini called Persuasion, and it talks exactly on that, where you can control where the conversation is going by the way that you frame the question that you're coming into it from.
Yes, well, that's exactly what you do. Hey, do you want to come to this party tomorrow night? Well, I don't know. Hey, the party is amazing for someone like you to come to. You should join me. Same, very different way you phrase that. One, you're going to get a yes, and you've done all kind of psychological things. And most baby entrepreneurs are so busy doing the product, they're making the product or writing the book. They have no idea. And I call this pitching. Kevin, I teach this every Sunday. I teach a $19 class to people live. And I'm sure at some point I won't be doing it, but every day, every Sunday since the pandemic started, because there's so many little triggers that no one's listening for or has any idea about. For example, when you get a new product, say you signed on to a network marketing company, which, by the way, I'm a huge fan of a network marketing company as a training ground for an entrepreneur, because you don't have to create the product. You don't have to do the distribution, and you don't have to do the customer service. All you have to do is figure out your pitching skills. And once you nail them, you can use them for anything. But as soon as people get a product, they're also excited going, oh my God, you know what? You need this. You really need to be working out, Kevin. You need to get Let me tell you something. No one ever does anything they need to do. People only do and only buy what they want. So my job now is to get you to want what I have. So in this particular case, Kevin, raise your hand for a second. Raise your arm like this. And anybody watching the video, touch the bottom of your arm. Yeah. Is it nice and tight and toned? And if you're a girl, I already know the answer. Mostly it's not. And then I'm going to lay in some guilt and go, what happens when you wear a strappy dress at New Year's or a bathing suit and you want this to be sexy? I'll tell you what, we're sitting in Zoom and you give me 5 minutes doing this. And in 3 weeks, 5 minutes a day, you're going to get like tight and toned. Is that something that you want? Hello? How can you say no to that? And that works for everything. And I think when people learn the art of pitching, here's how profoundly invested I am in this, because I see the greater good. I think if you can pitch effectively, you can get anything and everything you want. You pitched me to be on your show. It's not always a sale. It's just a yes. And I said yes. Why? Because you presented in a certain way. I say no all the time to podcasts. So you have to go, wow, how did I get her to say this? What did I have to do? You want somebody to marry you at some point. You're going to strategically come up with a pitch. We call it a proposal, but it's a pitch. And so I find, by the way, my kids are good at this. I think I had to sit through every animated Disney movie because they could pitch me up one side and down the other. That, and I also, wait, this is another little tip for your audience. The word no. When I heard no as a kid, I don't like rejection. I got rejected a lot. And when you're an actress, you get professionally rejected, like all the time, which did not help my self-esteem at all. So I had to work overtime. One day, my little son walks in and looks a lot like you. He's got bright blue eyes and a big smile. He's like, Mommy, can I have a piece of candy? And I said, no, it's time for dinner. 5 minutes later, little Riker Riley comes back. He's like, Mommy, can I just have a piece of chocolate? Like, Riker, go play it. Now, dinner's getting ready. He comes back like 5 minutes later, hands on hips, going, Mommy, I'm 5 years old and just want one piece of candy. And I said, okay. It was at that moment, Kevin, that I realized what the word no really means. See, every time I said no, he came back. When I said yes, he didn't. So yes is actually the stopping thing. You get a yes, you don't keep asking, right? So maybe no doesn't mean stop. It might mean NO, never-ending opportunity. Maybe you asked the wrong person the wrong question. And my other little secret in sales is that when you get a no, then you turn around right and then go, thank you. Because people are very confused when you say thank you if you get a no. Can I ask you one quick question? They always say yes. What would it have taken me to get a yes from you? And odds are they will tell you. You either use it right then back on them or you use it the next time. And I'll tell you what, turning no's into yeses is one of my favorite sports.
That's the difference between being a salesperson and being someone who can close the sale.
Ah, there you go. But I don't I don't even like sales. I that word makes my skin crawl. I don't like to be sold. I don't mind being persuaded. I don't mind when someone's got a great product, but pitching is it. And the other thing I teach about pitching is how to put you in the pitch. So do you want to play a game?
Let's do it.
All right, pick something off your desk, anything except a pen. And pitch it to us.
This right here, what I'm going to be pitching to you, is a combination of the finest essential oils that are known to man on the planet. You can rub this on your skin. You can make it smell good, make you associate it with a desired outcome, a desired action. But you can only have this size of a vial. And once it's gone for good.
Okay.
Would you like
Very
it?
good job. Well, can I coach you a little bit?
Absolutely.
All right. So one of the things that I talk about in terms of pitching for real is and everybody does it, and you deliciously did it. You went right to the thing. What if the pitch doesn't start with the thing? What if the pitch starts with your relatability factors, maybe a little bit of a story about why this is important to you, and what's the benefit as well? You gave a lot of features, but people only buy benefits. And so you say, you know what? I'll tell you what, growing up, I actually have a very badly broken nose. I don't smell very well, but I have now realized that the power of smell brings back memories and it promotes healing. And the funniest thing is when I found this product, I can smell it. And maybe it's because it's made from such high quality essential oils. But when I've put it on my wrist and realized that my carpal tunnel started to go away, between the smell and the feeling, I will tell you, if you have a good sense of smell, you have got to try it. Anyway, what did I introduce in there? I made it personal. It was about a story. The product to me has always been very irrelevant because even when you get to the product, you're going to do a thing called feature benefit. And I talk about that 2 and 2 equals 4. And if you say 2 and 2 equals 5, people are like, what? And so often when people will start to talk, they'll say words that are not easily understood. But if you do the system, like for example, give me a feature of this product.
It's purple.
Great. What's the benefit of that?
It's bright and vibrant, and you can see it in a dark room.
That's good. Give me another benefit that a person would really want because it's purple.
It's attractive.
Yeah, so you see it lying on your desk. What's another feature?
It's got a cord, a string.
Great. So you know what? It's not a resistance band, so it's not going to be like a rubber band. This allows you to stretch because it has no give to it. Another feature's got a round ring, right? Well, the benefit of that is you can put 2 fingers in, but if you got arthritis, you can just do this. You don't even have to hold it. So if we do feature benefit, some people say, I'll say, what's the feature? And they'll go, well, it's light. It's easy to take anywhere. No. So identifying this, no, the fact is it weighs less than a pound. That's why you can take it anywhere. And the funny thing is it's a little bit like playing music. If you hear a song and you hear one note that's off, they ruined the whole song, didn't they? Like it's over. At that moment, it's like, oh, no. But if all the notes work and the crescendo comes, boom, you're satisfied. That's the same thing about a pitch. It should be very satisfying.
Why do the vast majority of people focus on the feature first? Why is that the first step or what we're trained to initially go down the path for? Well,
that's the operative word. You're not trained. Left to your own devices, You would eat every piece of candy on the floor before you had something nutritious, because by nature, we love things that are sweet. You have to actually engage your brain and go, you know what? I'm going to wait for the sweet, even though it's what I want, because sweet and fried is what our bodies, we love. Not good for us, but we do it. So there's a level of training, and nobody teaches pitch. I don't know anywhere I've ever heard pitch being taught. In fact, for me, and this is kind of fun for you because, you're young and on a journey, and you never know where your journey is going to take you, which is very, very exciting. That's for all of us. But being young means you're still kind of hungry. So for me, when I was young, I was very hungry. And hungry for what? I don't know. Hungry for fame. I wanted to be an actress on TV. I wanted to kiss cute boys. I wanted to travel around the world. I wanted to have a life that mattered. That's all I've ever wanted. And so one day I walked into an audition, and there was a pen on the desk, and it said, "Sell me this pen," long before Jordan Belfort. And I thought it was a joke because I don't like to sell. And I said, it's a funny thing about pens. But when I was in college, I was 16 years old. I was really young. And every day my mom would write me these beautiful longhand notes in purple ink. It's funny. I realized a pen like this can reach out and touch somebody's heart. Now, I did that as a joke. Jake of Body by Jake came out from the dark, grabbed my face. "You're going to make me a lot of money." I'm like, okay. Because I'd done something no one else had done. I figured out the benefit. And here, watch this. That one audition turned into an empire.
Fitness, total convenience, 24 hours a day. Now get ready for the latest in sports, fashion, and exercise gear on Fitness Plus.
Hi, I'm Forbes Riley, and today we've got a great product for you. Take a look at this. Hi, I'm Forbes Riley, and backed by popular demand, the best way to develop rock-hard abdominals. Hi, I'm Forbes Riley, and welcome.
Hello. This is such a... And so what you're looking at on the screen is everybody, this was cable TV, had just started. People would come with their product, their health and wellness product, on day one for rehearsal, and they would show it to me. And I would write the pitch for it, like magically, like, how am I supposed to know there's a bread man and a slam man and a these? I would just magically come up with this pitch like I just knew. And then I would do it live to tape on the network. The network ran 24 hours a day. Jake sold this network to Fox TV for $500 million. And during the course of that, literally, we created the idea of selling fitness on TV. QVC and HSN had not even been born yet. And 35 of those turned into infomercials, and I hosted them. So to date, I've hosted 194 infomercials and grossed a little over $2.5 billion. How did all this happen? Who knows? The train left the station, and I was just happy to be on it.
I love this. And I love that you're backing everything up with an example too, because there's a lot of times where there's a lot of talk, but never an actionable choice. And to get me to pick up something, which now I need to go rethink through my entire life, apparently, at this point.
Well, okay, actually, that's not true. Let's go back to you for a second, because you do very successful retreats. So think about when you're enrolling somebody to come to your retreat. Some of it is feature about where it is, what it is, the price, but most of it is what they get, what they're going to experience, why it's, and that you do that innately or you wouldn't have a business.
Mm-hmm. But now that there's a structure to it, it's something that once there's structure, then you can systemize it. And once you can systemize it, then you can begin to grow it and scale it.
That's why I like you. You're very smart.
There we go. Now I'm catching on. I think I got more notes written down over here for myself than I think I ever have in my life.
So an educational class, right?
This is not a podcast. This is education for Kevin.
Hey, but you know what? I'll tell you what's great about it is that while you're learning, so is hopefully everybody else. And it's what I'm about. I don't enjoy a lot of podcast listening. I don't want to hear. I have my own podcast. You're welcome to come on as a guest. People talk 30,000 foot, blah, 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 blah. You know what? My daughter and I you didn't meet my daughter. She's 18 years old. We started training called GSD. Called Get Shit Done. Mm-hmm. And every month we get a project done that entrepreneurs have been bitching about. So 1 month it's GSD, an ebook. We just did that for 4 weeks. GSD a funnel, GSD a course. Now we're doing GSD a hire, how to hire VAs, GSD your email list. And in 4 weeks, people who've waited years to figure this out are getting it done. And I'm, like I said, I have an example for everything I will ever show you because I think that's important. And then I really don't like when people just say really wild things. Like a wild thing would me be going, you've heard of Kim Kardashian, right? Mm-hmm. Well, you know how she started?
Bruce. Yeah. Caitlyn.
Well, that's her dad. But what if I was the one who gave her very first TV appearance? Now, if I just said that, you go, oh, yeah, right. Well, okay, how about I prove it and show you something really cool?
invited a top Hollywood stylist who's known to be the closet organizer to the stars. Please welcome my dear friend, Kim Kardashian.
You've seen her in all the magazines and on the E! Entertainment Network with her best friend Paris. Beautiful Kimberly Kardashian is a model and film and TV wardrobe stylist. Plus, she's busy with her 2 businesses doing celebrity closet makeovers and her upscale fashion store Dash in Southern California. What does this fashion pro think of the all-new Pressabella?
I'm in the fashion business, so it's really important for me.
This is a year before Keeping Up with the Kardashians. She had no TV credit whatsoever.
That's
So yeah, I know. So just maybe it rubs off on you, but I have a knack for finding a lot of stars before they were stars.
Forbes, you trying to tell me something over here or what?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
I want to, so continuing down this actionable tip approach, or this way of providing an education for people that are listening as well. You approach everything that you do with an exceptional amount of confidence. And that is something that the vast majority of people in life lack. Where does that come from, or how did you create that level of confidence within yourself?
I think it helps if you fall off a cliff and you don't die. You have a weird sense that maybe you're invincible. If you've taken off your clothes 10,000 times on a moving train, in movie theaters, on sets, in restaurants, maybe there's nothing that could embarrass you. And I'm not kidding. I think that's a word. I spin with people in public. My poor kids literally said to me, Mom, you know what? Because we were raised, we are unembarrassable. There's nothing you embarrass us everywhere. You made people spin gym everywhere. So if you can't be embarrassed because you just don't care, wow, that's an interesting concept. Now, I have to temper that a little bit because I don't care. I don't want to look totally stupid, but I've done it. There's a video of me. I got a lot of awards in the infomercial industry, right? And you kind of have to go, what's the worst thing could happen to you? Well, you're in a gorgeous gown and you fall down. Well, I have a video of me walking in high heels up to the stage. I'm the big winner, and bam, I hit the stage face first. And I turned around and I went, ta-da! Took off my shoes, got the award, make everybody laugh, and it was an amazing moment. Think about it. If you're unembarrassable, because most people spend too much time worrying as though anybody else cares. No one else knows that you even existed. And I guess partly I go back to my childhood. Without a lot of friends, nobody told me what I couldn't do. My parents said I could do anything. James Bond did everything. And I only had those 2 references. It's very strange. And so if you believe that you're invincible, you just keep going. And I think I'm right. I think I really am right. There's a joy also to what I do. I want to make people happy. I understand what it means to be served. And I'll give you another little example. This was a good lesson for you that happened when I was 31. I didn't know how anyone else felt. I mean, I have no relatives. So it's a very small family. I only know what I know. And I watched a lot of TV. I'm 31 years old and someone invites me to my first seminar where personal development with a whole bunch of people in the room. And before that, I'd actually gone to my first AA meeting with one of my roommates. I don't drink, but I was recovering. And I heard all these people stand up and tell their life story. And I had no idea that anybody felt all the insecurities that I did, or felt weird like I did, or felt like an outsider. And I thought that was amazing. And then when I got to the seminar and people are crying and transforming, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. The Saturday night of the advanced training of that thing we did, very experiential, was one of the greatest nights of my life. And one of the worst nights of my life. And so there were like 78 people, and it was called a stretch. And they gave every group something, like a music video that they had to do, like the big macho guys had to do I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar, and whatever the stretches were. And I'm thinking, I can't wait to sing and dance and perform. This is so exciting. I'm so excited. It came down to just me and someone else, and we were left. I'm like, where's my song? And the guy said, you need to go get a maid's outfit and a butler outfit. Come back. They collect $10 from everybody, $778, put out a food display and come back. I'm like, where's my song? Go. So I go, and no one's ever talked to me like this. Okay. Come back, and we get everything all set up. And he said, I go put the maid's outfit on. And I'm like, oh, dude, you got the wrong chick here. I don't clean. In fact, I've been paying someone to clean my bathroom since I was 19 years old. I'll do anything not to do that because I get so distracted it never gets done. And then he said, when he came back, he said, here's what you're going to do tonight. I'm like, yeah, what? He said, you're not going to talk at all. You're not going to look anybody in the eye. You're going to clean up everything. This place is going to be spotless. And I was like, and the guys in the butler, and my head went nuts. You tell me I can't talk? I have to pick up people's crap? Okay, now the limiting beliefs that all happened in my head. Why did I come to a stupid seminar? Why did I pay to? This is stupid. I just should leave. Then my other side said, but wait, you're in integrity. You said you're going to stay. Just do it. Bite your tongue and get through this. The whole night, Kevin, like 5 hours, I am freaking miserable. All the music and all the dancing, everything happening over there. And I'm like cleaning up spilled soda and smiling the entire time because I'm sure there's a reason for this. And just at one point I had to go in the bathroom just to stop because I couldn't stand the noise in my own head. Midnight, everything's finished. I'm done. And I know every entrepreneur's had that where you hit the wall. You don't know what to do next. He comes out and he makes the two of us take our shoes off and blindfolds us. And now I'm thinking, this is a cult. I'm going to get beaten with a whip. I need to run. They push us into the room and this song starts playing that I'd never heard before with lyrics that say, this is the moment, the greatest moment of all. All the scheming and screaming come to an end. And I'm sit down, I feel somebody washing my feet, takes the blindfold off and everybody is on their knees, like sitting below us. And we're on a little pedestal and the two leaders are washing our feet. And I'm like, what's going on here? And he looked at me, he's like, you don't get it. I'm like, no, I really don't get it. And he's like, we identify the two of you as really great leaders. We don't always do this stretch, but great leaders need to learn how to serve. My life lesson is the only one I needed. I mean, it hit home. That was 30 years ago. And I will never forget. I've played that song. It's my song. And no one knows it. It's great. It's a very obscure song. And I'm often reminded that no matter how great you think you are and all the things that you're doing, it is about serving other people.
And that is the best way to be a leader, by being a servant leader.
I didn't know that.
How has that, from that moment on, how has that transformed how you approach your life?
Everything is a story. I teach right now live 30 to 40 hours a week. I've always done classes. I do these amazing breakthrough transformational things that you've never seen before. In fact, I just did this on Clubhouse. A magazine came out today. I'm number 2 in Clubhouse influencers.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
I mean, like, seriously, like, it's like, when did this happen? Because I actually started doing it. Clubhouse is a phenomenal medium for me because I don't have to wear makeup. It's so much nicer. I can pop out of bed anytime I want. And for somebody who's been, my fiance had a horrible motorcycle accident, so we were stuck in the house before COVID. It's been a very challenging time for us. And so when I found Clubhouse in January, a lot of my friends were on it. Everyone was very nice to me, but they let me do my thing. They let me teach and preach and serve. And so here it is. Check it out. It just came out. There's Glenn Lundy from Breakfast with Champions. And there's Forbes Riley. It was like, oh my gosh, really? I mean, I know. And I mean, Natasha's got 4 million followers. And this is crazy. The list that we made, Jim Quick, who I love. These are great, wonderful influencers on the platform, friends of mine. I don't know how all of this happened, except that I have a calling and I'm not going to deny it anymore. I have a calling to teach and preach and the whole breakthrough thing I do, it's not about me at all. I have a very insightful skill to help people and I've devoted a lot of time to doing that. And then I also love pitching. I love teaching pitch. And so I do that. And then the other side of my life is I still act and I'm in 2 movies and Netflix at the moment and I host TV shows and I've got a new infomercial coming out and I got a great husband who I love. Have you seen Joshua, by the way?
I have. I don't know how I could have not seen him. He is absolutely fantastic.
Well, but the funny thing for him is, he looked completely different after his motorcycle accident.
I didn't see the before. No.
So he has always been very fit. He looks a lot like Thor. For those people who cannot, you're going to want to watch. Where can people find your video to this, by the way? Because they're going to want to see this photo.
This everything for this podcast will be at kevinwathey.com/podcast.
Nice. All right. So one of the goals for me was I raised a little kid from South Central and was married to a man for a long time. And when Dexter was murdered, he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. My marriage took a toll and I looked for the second part of my happiness and I wanted Prince Charming. And I'm a big believer in vision boards. And I said, I want someone who looks like he walked off the cover of a romance novel. Well, Joshua got hit in January. This is what he looked like 6 months later. He lost all of his muscle. He gets out of his wheelchair and he says, take a picture of me. And I'm like, oh, really? He says, yeah. He says, in October 2021, I'm going to go for Mr. Olympia, which is a title he'd never held. I'm like, oh, man. And Kevin, you want to talk about persistence, tenacity, and having a dream? That's what he built in a year. So for your audience who's not seeing it, he looks a lot like Thor and Captain America wish they looked. His name is Joshua Self, Self. I get to be Mrs. Self, which is kind of funny. When I first met him, I thought, there's no way your last name is Self. You're like the ultimate selfie. But he turns out to be the nicest, sensitive, most amazing man who thinks I'm special and also tolerates the fact that I do teach some pretty long hours, 30 to 40 hours a week right now on Zoom. And I love it. I love seeing transformation in people, and I really get my purpose here. And it's beautiful. And to raise two 18-year-old kids who run a company, who've made $1 million in a year, who have figured out the internet. And why don't we just share this and have a great life? Because I don't know what else there is.
I will link to his profile as well as the video and everything we've discussed at kevinwathey.com/podcast. And you can find all the links from there. But I want to take this conversation kind of full circle for a moment, because you spoke before how you started out doing magic tricks and how you were using magic as a way to distance yourself from being seen. Now you are seen. Now you are in the light. Now you are in front of everyone, and you are the face and name of the vast majority of areas of your life. What was the tipping point? What was the shift? What was I'm no longer going to hide behind my magic, behind my trick, behind my thing, and I'm going to fully step into my power and almost unlock my true potential, so to speak?
Wow. That's an interesting thing. I have a career of fighting. I've had to fight for a lot of things. I have a video, by the way, on YouTube of me fighting to save Spin Gym at U.S. Customs when they wanted to take this away, and how I enrolled 8 people to black out 44,000 DVDs in 6 days so they didn't throw out my product, and how I had to fight for that. I've been a fighter most of my. It's fascinating to me that I've actually have arrived, and I think I've only arrived so I can tell the stories of all the fighting, of all the scrappiness, because that's how I've lived my life. But there is a moment, and it's kind of funny. It happened on stage when I actually arrived, and somebody made a song out of it called "I'm Forbes Riley," and it's an insanely intense song. And I heard it and was like, damn. So this moment on stage, I actually got because I pitched Grant Cardone in a hallway. I had like a minute and a half. You want to talk about the ultimate elevator pitch? And this happened because of that. This has been 4 months in the making and a lifetime to actually get here.
When I heard her story, it just touched my heart.
Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving.
She brought the house down.
Forbes Riley is amazing.
I'm grateful, oh yeah, able, oh yeah, I'm stable, oh yeah, no label, oh yeah, you know me, I have only a past, I'm lonely, but damn, I'm going,
It took everything I am as a human being over the last 4 months to get right here. I will tell you, that moment, there was a moment there, and people have talked about it a lot since then. I had thousands of students join my company. And it was very, very life-changing. It was also painful. There was a lot of things that went on. I don't know. I'd like to say that I have arrived. I think when I'm sitting with Oprah on a Soul Sunday, I will know that I've actually arrived, because I don't think I'm quite there yet.
I mean, that's what keeps you driving forward. That's what you need in order to continue to move forward, because I guarantee when that moment comes, because I know it will come, when that moment comes, you're then going to say, okay, that's the next thing. Then there's going to be the next, and then there's going to be the next.
This is one of the problems. There's always another mountain to climb. And I love it. And I love talking about accolades. Do you know, for example, an accolade that you don't know? I love talking about my life. I really do, because I almost can't believe it. But have you ever watched the X Games?
All the time.
I helped start the X Games.
Fill me in on this story.
Right. There's you're like, Forbes, seriously? The greatest invention ever. Actually, I know that the CEO of YouTube, without them, I couldn't tell these stories. But it's kind of a long story how I used to do stand-up comedy at ski resorts. there was ESPN2 came out of what we were doing. And the next thing you know, I get a phone call that asked me if I would like to start this thing called the Extreme Games.
We grinded on the street.
Rode the luge.
And we sky surfed from 13,000 feet.
Ooh, I'm Forbes
Now, what's so
Riley.
funny about this, so you can see all the interviews that we did, the smartest thing I did was to get the footage. Because all this was on 3/4-inch tape and it was all live back then. There was no YouTube, there was no whatever. And it was at Fort Adams. And I'm going to share a little story with you about how weird my life has been. So before I'll tell the story in a second and then I'll show. So initially, I'm doing the stand-up comedy 3-on-3 co-ed snow volleyball game. I also used to work for Club Med. That's what I did with my 20s. So you're doing retreats. I did Club Med and I did stand-up comedy at ski resorts. I performed and did lots of crazy stuff and had an amazing life wanting to my big break. Well, one day ESPN comes to make a special out of this little volleyball game thing that we're doing. And they don't want to pay any attention to me because I'm not a television personality. And their host, a guy named Russ Francis, was not coming to the next day. And I said, well, can I just co-host this with them? And like, no, you can't hold the microphone because it's an ESPN banner and you don't work for ESPN. I'm like, yeah, but I've got 50-foot of Bose speakers and I want to be a TV personality. And what do I have to do to make this happen? And so the funny thing is, let me see if I can find the Forbes Riley game. So this is funny to tell these stories. Forbes Riley. I also wanted to be a game show host, but there were no female game show hosts. What a strange concept, right? And so I don't know if I'll be able to find it fast enough. Anyway, Russ Francis gets out there and he pretty much, is this the one? Yeah, hang on a second. Here, check this out. Oh, well, all right. See the big hair? This is what we would look like if I met when I was in my 20s.
Air as long as you can.
So I made people do crazy things on stage, like really weird things. And you're watching a little pole balancing contest. And there I am running around being my own DJ. Right, so I was doing all of that. And at this moment when they're filming, Russ Francis didn't understand what we were doing, so he gave me the microphone and said, keep talking. And we did. And all day long, we went back and forth, and I narrated this. Well, ESPN calls me a year later out of the blue and says, hey, this is the lawyer for ESPN. We'd like to offer you $75,000 for 2 weeks to do. I'm like, who is this? It's a lawyer for ESPN. I'm like, okay, cut the crap. Who's this? And they're like, do you want me to put you on the phone with the producer? I'm like, yeah, why are you calling me? And they basically said, look, we've had this piece of videotape of you for the last year, and we finally found something for you to do. Okay, I don't know about sports. They send me a Bible, like a little loose leaf, about 3 inches thick, of 300 athletes I've never heard of, and like 50 sports that didn't even exist. BMX bike, half pipe, street lugeing, sky surfing. And I'm like, they're going to fire me. When I get there, they're going to figure out they hired the wrong girl because I have no experience. So I get there to this giant, like $10 million worth of equipment. And I'm walking with my things going, please don't fire me. Please don't fire me. Well, then the crazy thing happened. You're going to watch the videotape. The first night I do this, I'm live. I'm like, oh my God. So one, I never saw it. There was no videotape playback. There were no cell phones back then. And so for about 20 years, I didn't realize that I was any good. And my entire modus operandi was, please don't fire me. Second year, they hired me back. Please don't fire. I literally walked down with this please don't fire me chip till 20 years later when I realized why they didn't fire me, because it turns out I was really good. And so you're going to watch that.
Alternative sports have been craving a stage where they can prove, just like football and basketball players, they are serious competitors who leave as much sweat on the playing field as anyone. Well, for over 400 athletes from 6 continents, this is it. And on this show, every night except Wednesday, a review of the day's best and a look ahead to the next day. Sharing in on the fun, my Extreme Games partner in crime, Forbes Riley. Oh, Forbes.
Hey, Stuart, believe it or not, this place was not just constructed for the Extreme Games. Fort Adams has a history as old as our nation. Now, a little later in our show, we're going to take a tour of this historic landmark. We'll see the cannons, the ghosts of soldiers past, and a maze of secret tunnels that lie beneath this structure. Now, they're totally off limit, but we've got some exclusive footage. Fact. There's never been an actual battle fought here at the fort until now. A battle of strength, wills, technology, and endurance, otherwise known as the 1995 Extreme Games. Are you ready for this?
I get kind of chills just watching that.
I
because
did too.
That girl is freaking out. Literally, like, I wrote it going, please don't forget, there's no teleprompter, please, dear God, please don't move. And you just wind her up and she goes, right? And like I said, all I know is like, oh God, thank God we got through that. What's next? And it was the most insane experience. The next year, and this was kind of fun too, I did something weird. I decided that they said to me, pre-GoPro, I feel old doing this. No, isn't that funny? Like, pre-cell phone, how old are you? And they said, we want a segment about all the technology that we're launching here at the X Games. So I said, well, let's hang me from the ceiling like Mission Impossible that had just come out. And the first thing everybody always says is, no, we have no budget. And I said, we don't need a budget. They said, what do you mean? I said, well, I just got it. And I found the local mountaineering guys in Providence, Rhode Island, and they strung this whole rig out for me for free. But people would always say no to me. And I said, well, what if you just don't say no? And so this piece played a dozen times on national television.
Good morning. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to acquire the secret POV technology locked inside the CRM-114 computer and provide it during the X Games. Your agent, as usual, will be Forbes Riley. The CRM will self-destruct in 60 seconds.
I'll give you the links that you guys can watch the rest. I know, right?
That is absolutely fantastic. And so I'm sitting here listening to all these stories, and I'm trying to find the common theme throughout all of them. That has because we
James
go from
Bond, I told you, James Bond.
Left field to right field to down the street grabbing burgers. I'm trying to figure out this common theme, and I think what it is actually what you have now created with your children, and that's get shit done. You've lived your entire life by the motto of always taking massive action towards whatever the fuck it is that you want to do. Correct me.
Yes, that's actually what it is.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, like, is that like what if you had to look back, or if you had to say one thing, like what has made you? What do you attribute your success to? Is it that get shit done mentality? And you've never accepted no. You've always just said, I don't care what they're going to say. I'm going to find a way to make it happen.
Well, you know, the irony is there's another side of me, though, this little girl that does play small that has accepted no way too many times. And so there's this real dichotomy about when I'm really bold. And I have a bracelet here that somebody made for me called What Would Forbes Do? Because there's times when I forget to be her and I revert back to that little girl. So I have a lot of accomplishments, and it's fun to look back on it. And actually, one of the themes, maybe there is no real theme, who knows? Because I was 20 years old. And like I said, I lived in a dreamland. I lived in my head, and the world, I wanted it to be different than it was. And I grabbed a book called Europe on $20 a Day by Arthur Fromer. My parents were very small town, and they'd never left the country. And I said to my mom, look, I have this idea that when I'm in my 80s, I'm going to sit around and tell these magnificent stories to my kids and their kids and grandkids, just like Hans Christian Andersen. Only I don't have anything to talk about. So I'm going to go take this book, and I've got a plan, and I drew out the plan. I'm going to tear out every page when I see the monuments and stuff, and come home when I have just the cover. And it was myself, a Walkman, and a giant camera, and a backpack. And I went for 6 months. And so it was just about living a life and finding and creating stories. And I did. I jumped off a moving train in Figueroa, Spain to see a Salvador Dali museum. I have more stories from that one trip when I was in my 20s. And whenever I've done a lot of this stuff, I seem to hear the reality camera in my head. Definitely wish that I had listened to Chris Jenner a little bit more, because fun to have that. Maybe you don't really want it played out on television, but I view my life a little bit like a reality show. And what's the next? How do you make the chapter fun? How do you finish this? And it's not as much get shit done, or I would have gotten more done. I would have started more companies or written more books. It is just live your life to the fullest, because I don't know that you get a second chance at this. And it really is the James Bond principle. And every once in a while, people will surprise you. I'm blown away that, remember, there was no social media back then. I had no one to compare it to. I just wanted my life to be wonderful and fantabulous. And I love rom-coms, you know, in the romantic comedy, they always get the guy. So I got the guy and I have a cute life and I don't know why can't it be like that? And I get very sad when it's not. And then every once in a while, I had a talk show for a while. This one blew me away. This is the designer of Grenade clothing. And I may have to describe it for your other audience.
Would be to get one more tattoo.
I coached him. It's a tattoo of my name on his ass.
That's her signature. She signed this on a sticker I told her I was going to sell on eBay yesterday. And I brought it to the tattoo shop. And forever, I may be your biggest fan. If anybody wants to argue with me, they're going to have to prove it.
Oh my God!
She just kissed it?
I did!
I should have showered. Oh my God.
I have to take him home with me now.
Will you be my mentor?
Oh my
Forbes, this has been an absolute pleasure. This has been absolutely fantastic, and I appreciate all of the stories and education and everything else mixed in between that you've brought to the episode today, and to us connecting, which I feel like has been very long overdue and needs to be more frequent moving forward. Please, to wrap up here, I have a couple rapid fire questions for you, if that's okay with you.
Sure. And by the way, I'm going to have to send a lot of people to your site because I've never showed these videos. I've never done a podcast like this before. So whatever it is that you inspired me to do is very, very unique. And thank you.
You are more than welcome. Thank you. The very first thing, and I kind of just touched on this, but I want to see if we can narrow it down to one word or a short phrase. But if you could attribute your success to one thing specifically, what would it be?
Tenacity.
If you could spend 1 hour with anyone past, present, or future, who would it be and why?
You know, I was just asked this today, and it was a combination of Harriet Tubman and Barbra Streisand.
Why?
Oh, man. Can you imagine a woman in a time when women were not respected, women of color, who created an entire movement and saved lives? Talk about going where no one's gone before. What drove her to do that? And I realized I want to hang with her and have that conversation. And then Barbra Streisand in the movie Funny Girl or The Way We Were, she was the ugly duckling who always got the guy and she was talented. And I thought she was absolutely my hero growing up and I didn't even realize it till recently.
Next one up is, what's the biggest mistake you've ever made and the lesson you learned from it?
I'm not going to go specific, but I'm going to say there's a lot of times when I didn't listen to my gut, and I should have. And I listened to other people, and I really wish I hadn't at those moments. It was a challenging moment, but the biggest advice is when you hear that voice in your head, your gut, just go for it. Do not second guess yourself.
Last but not least is, in your opinion, what is the single most important thing someone can do to live a happy, healthy, and fulfilling life?
Just say yes. Understand that life happens for you, not to you. All the crappy things that happen as you're going through it, and you will decide that it's happening for you. When Joshua got hit in in the automobile accident and he was down and out, even in the hospital, when I knew he was alive and he was going to be able to walk again, I had a vision that said, this was a very powerful, strong man, but the reason he got taken down is because he's going to rebuild. And I didn't even know that in the hospital. But I said, when he does, it will be one of the most powerful stories we could ever tell of overcoming obstacles. And I'm sad he went through it, but I'm grateful for all the people who learned those lessons.
I absolutely love that. Thank you very much, Forbes. I want to open the floor to you as well. Is there anything else you'd like to say or add, or where is the best place for people to follow along on your journey?
All right. So here, you guys can come. You want to join me for free while I'm still doing this at www.ask Forbes Riley. That's every Sunday live. You will get to meet me and hang with me for as long as I can do this. I've been doing it every Sunday since the pandemic, except for my birthday and Super Bowl Sunday. And then for all the things me, just go to www.forbesriley.com and you'll find everything there. I give away lots of free gifts. I've got videos and fun PDFs and all kind of stuff. But I'm excited to up-level a community of people. So if you're somebody who feels like an outcast, who feels like a misfit, I could be the champion. I could be the one who says, I'm going to show you the way, show you your personal greatness, and then hold a torch for you to keep on marching.
Thank you very much, Forbes. I will link to all of the above, everything we talked about, and the video online at kevinwathey.com/podcast. Forbes, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.
Mwah, to you. I love you.
Hey, it's Kevin here, and before I let you go, I wanted to let you know that the complete show notes for this episode, as well as any other, can be found at kevinwathey.com/podcast. And if you enjoyed the show, please consider leaving us a short review on Apple Podcasts. I love reading the reviews, and they're often the tipping point in helping us book some very hard-to-reach guests. Now, if you want to or would like to receive a weekly email from me called the Weekly Mindful Memo, head over to kevinwathey.com/VIP to subscribe. By signing up, you'll receive exclusive behind-the-scenes access and be the first to know about upcoming episodes, retreats, and more direct to your inbox. Again, you can sign up to receive the weekly Mindful Memo by going to kevinwathey.com/VIP. Thank you for listening. Much love, and have a wonderful rest of your day.